point. This news came down while we were on the radio this morning, and I'd seen the reports initially that he was arrested on a domestic violence charge. TMZ was the first place I saw that had a little bit more detail than that, and that it is apparently it was a report of an assault in progress. Upon arrival, deputies made contact with the victim. This is via TMZ, who alleged she had been assaulted, strangled, and threatened by her fiance. Based on the information and statements provided during the investigation, Ward was taken into custody without further incident. So very disturbing, kind of a surprise and out of the blue. And for a team that, the Texans don't have a lot of arrests since 2000. They've got the lowest number of arrests in the NFL, and there's a football component to this, obviously. It's a dicey because you don't want to focus too much on the football side of things, and it's what a very, very serious situation. It's just impossible to say at this point exactly what the circumstances were, how this is going to affect Jimmie Ward or the Texans moving forward until we find out more details. And certainly don't want to jump to conclusions in any regard on all of this. Jimmie Ward has a big personality, but it's not like he's got a history of things like this. And that's the part that obviously it's shocking whenever you hear it, but it's I don't want to. It's just I wasn't expecting this from potentially Jimmie Ward, depending on exactly what the circumstances are. On the football side of things, obviously, there's an effect. It's if you're looking at it from a Texans depth chart standpoint, then C.J. Gardner-Johnson being here is it's less of a concern if Jimmie Ward isn't going to be available this year. And I think we would have felt if the Texans hadn't addressed the safety position, you go into a season with Jimmie Ward, even without this incident, you're worried about a guy that's been banged up and injured and in his 30s and hasn't necessarily been available a lot. Last year when he came in and he played for Jalen Petrie when he was injured, he did some really good things. It's just that he's old, and he's gotten injured a whole lot. And as David says, yes, we need more information. Is he going to get cut? Robert asks. I don't know. The Texans have been as an organization and through Bob McNair and now Cal and Hannah. I think Bob McNair was way more tight or strict about the character standards and what have you. And again, we don't know exactly what happened here. So I'm not trying to diminish the severity of the charges that he was arrested on for allegedly strangling his fiance. But my feeling would be that they're going to probably let this play out. And, from the NFL standpoint, the NFL lets the legal process play out. The teams can be a lot more aggressive about it. If it is domestic violence and there's validity to the charges, then I would expect he'd probably get cut. Let's see. Remember the UT coach charges ended up getting dropped. Yeah, and this is where I look on both sides, man. It gets ugly and stupid when people start jumping to conclusions. Obviously, people have a long history of ignoring or not believing women when they make complaints. But then there are instances where go back to Duke lacrosse or any other allegations that you've got to wait for information to come out. Deshaun Watson. I mean, people were having debates about the Deshaun Watson situation before they had any actual clue or knowledge about any of the details around it. So we have to worry about, you got to be careful. Now, we can speak in hypotheticals. If there's validity to it, then I would 100% expect him to be gone, both because it would be allegedly it's violence against a woman. Most NFL teams are pretty damn strict about that. I know that teams like the Chiefs and the Browns and what have you, I've never really had a desire to step into that stratosphere of turning a blind eye to violence against women that just very few teams anymore seem to have. And I would be surprised if the Texans did. But these are allegations at this point. For anybody just joining the stream, we have no idea exactly what actually happened. Jeremy says he leaned on CJ's shoulder for support. Jeez. The Texans, they do have one of the lowest. They have the lowest arrest number since the year 2000. They got the benefit of not having played in 2000 and 2001, but even with that, very much amongst the lowest. So it's a little bit of a surprise. I think this is the first arrest we've seen since D'Amico's been here. If you look at the defensive backfield right now, C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Kalen Bullock at the safety position. Jalen Petrie can come back and play safety if they need to. Some of that depends also on how does Jalen Smith come along. So I think Jalen Smith can play in the slot if he works out as a player or as a nickel back. So you've got that option of Jalen Petrie. MJ Stewart is still on the field, on the team. Russ Yeast is, competing for a roster spot. And then you have Jalen Reed, the rookie out of USC, who's a sixth-round pick. So there's youth, there's experience in MJ Stewart and the familiarity with the system. I wouldn't be surprised if, given whatever happens with Jimmie Ward, I almost feel like, okay, the Texans are going to do their own investigation into matters. We might see a roster move to pick up a safety or something along the way before we even actually hear what the Texans are going to officially do with Jimmie Ward. There's multiple weeks now before training camp begins in late June. So it's going to, I promise you this, it's going to be radio silence in terms of inside information or leaks or anything like that from the Texans side of things. Maybe Jimmie Ward's going to reach out to somebody and we'll see. Yeah, David says innocent until proven guilty. Yes, 100%. Yeah. And that's if I speak about anything here, I'm speaking hypotheticals out of respect to the potential victim, out of respect to Jimmie Ward. You don't want to be Nancy Grace yelling about how awful somebody is, and it turns out they were completely innocent. It's been one of the guiding principles of my life is be less like Nancy Grace if she's still around. That's why I liked the old GM too. He built an amazing team before Billy Boy got rid of him. Character was always key with Nick and D'Amico. Jesse Bates is a free agent. Yeah, I haven't even looked at, let's see. Potential free agents. I don't know. This is where it gets dicey with the guys that are out on the market right now. I trust in D'Amico to make the right decision. So we'll sit and we'll wait. And honestly, because, minicamp just ended. The NFL news cycle from now until training camp is just about dead. I'm doing a lot of YouTube videos just to get the reps right now. And that's about it, really. I think Jalen Smith, if we took just the strict football side of things, Jalen Smith could be a key for this team. With or without Jimmie Ward, if you look at the starting 5 defensive backs, one really encouraging thing about minicamps was that they were playing with dime out there a good amount yesterday, apparently. That's 6 defensive backs on the field, which turns, I'm guessing, Jalen Petrie more into a dime linebacker, and you could have Jalen Smith playing in the slot, and we'll see. Bradley, thank you. First stream. And it's this ad hoc one because my streaming software wasn't working. Let me know, does the microphone sound okay? I notoriously have microphone issues. Yes. Eric Murray is missed. It's the first time of the many surprises in this current situation. No disrespect to Eric Murray. I think he did some good things for what you're hoping to get out of him. He's with the Jaguars now, so we'll see Eric Murray again. Do you think Jalen Smith will take over in the dime? He could potentially be the slot corner with Jalen Petrie playing nickel or dime linebacker. I think that makes sense. Tricky thing about playing dime is just, can you stop the run? You got 6 defensive backs out there. You got to be sure that you can stop the run. A lot of that sometimes comes via the blitz or whatever, but they got a bunch of maniacs who are not afraid to come up and stop the run. Jimmie Ward is that type of guy too. And he does give you, with Jimmie, depending on whether he's on the team or not on the team. Let's say hypothetically he's on the team and whatever happened here is whatever. The nice thing about Jimmie is that you can't depend on him to play 17 games, but it's sure nice to have him, like when Jalen Petrie went down last year. And he came in and he played that nickel backer position really, really well. How do I feel about Travis Hunter? Do you think he's going to be as good as people think? I think that he's got work to do as a wide receiver in terms of learning how to run NFL routes and everything, but he's ridiculously gifted. And I think if he had focused us just on wide receiver in college, it probably would have been a slam dunk, no doubt about it. Oh yeah, this is the guy. It's interesting that the Jaguars are treating him the way they are, because they are genuinely, right from the get-go, they're having him work both sides of the ball. It's not like they're going to teach him how to play wide receiver and then slowly see how much they could handle with defensive back. So they're planning on doing both. They're both right off the get-go, which is ambitious, but he's also kind of a unicorn type of an athlete. Okay. Still can't believe the agent convinced the front office to give Jimmy an 8-figure contract while injured. The extension to Jimmy Ward was interesting. Given his injury history and his age, I think D'Amico just really likes him in the building, and I tend to try to give D'Amico the benefit of the doubt when it comes to stuff like that. I think D'Amico really values having teachers on the field. He understands as a former player that having guys like Jimmy Ward there, the young players hear the message differently, and also sometimes just the players by virtue of trying to figure out. Sometimes the defensive coordinators are telling you to do stuff, and you're like, "This is I don't understand what he's having me do." It's nice to have a veteran alongside you to kind of talk you through it and tell you where your eyes should be and how your mindset should be. So that part of Jimmy Ward is very valuable. His availability is not always the best, but that veteran presence and being a smart, high football IQ guy, I think that's very valuable. We haven't seen D'Amico and Nick work through a situation like this, and I'm wondering, depending on how murky it is, like what level of comfort do they have if it's publicly decried ahead of, like, prematurely, because there's voices all over the place with people that don't know exactly what happened. I'm one of them. I don't know what happened, but I'm not going to sit here and say I can't believe the Texans are or are not doing something about this when we don't know what this is about until more details emerge. Let's see, what's Cosmo say? Totally off subject. Titus Howard was on Twitch last night and he had a lot of good things to say about our rookies. That's nice. He's going on about Jalen Noel being unusually strong for a wide receiver. Yeah, he benched 225. Was it 23 or 24 times? You scrolled up on me there. Oh, there it is, 23 times at the combine. He benched 225. They don't do 250 at the combine. I'm excited for the season. We got two stud wide receivers in the draft and have a stacked defense. As long as our O-line plays up to par and most of our players stay healthy, we should be in the Super Bowl. Should be in the Super Bowl is a tricky one. That's I always like Bill Belichick's old philosophy of you got to play well enough to be consistently making championship games, conference championship games. There's a lot of randomness and luck and injury and everything that goes on into actually making the Super Bowl. But I appreciate your optimism. I appreciate it. Sometimes you guys got to give up in CAH. Don't know what that means. Yeah. All right, I'm going to cut it off here because I don't have any more information for you. Credit to TMZ. Wait. Let me give one more, because TMZ had the information that I didn't have initially until right before we came on. I searched to see if Jimmy Ward had ever been arrested before, and you know what happens with this? I don't recall Jimmy Ward ever getting arrested, but when I try to Google it right now, everything is coming up about the current matter. And Google made it harder to do advanced searches historically, going back for news archives and whatnot. So, as far as what TMZ had reported, it was strangulation, as we've seen from multiple sources, but that it was his fiance. Deputies made contact with the victim, who alleged she'd been assaulted, strangled, and threatened by her fiance. Based on the information and statements provided during the investigation, Ward was taken into custody without further incident. So I hope, honestly, sometimes these things are. It's hard to avoid the strangulation charges. You know, when the cops come and there's an incident of some sort, in a lot of instances, they're going to arrest somebody. The part that's kind of alarming and jarring is the alleged strangulation part, but we'll see exactly what went down. I know we've all seen various times where people have been accused falsely or victims have totally been assaulted and people refuse to believe them. So it's dicey to make assumptions at this point. Had the foot surgery in December too. Forgot to mention that. So when it comes to the injury history of Jimmy Ward, let me just bring up over the last few years. You got to remember, Jimmy he'll be 34 this year. Played 10 games last year, 10 games the previous year, 12 games the year before that. I mean, he's missed serious time in each of the last 3 seasons. Serious time in the last 2 seasons, and he'll be 34 years old. Seth, my Texans legend, do you think this will go wrong, or could it be allegations? Just no idea, man. No idea. It would be like I don't know Jimmie Ward to personally to like vouch for him or anything. We just have zero clue exactly, other than that he was arrested at 5:30 a.m. this morning. Also, I'm surprised that he lives in Montgomery County. I'm guessing somewhere in the Woodlands. It's a long drive, man. That's like an hour drive to the facility. That's some serious. That's some serious Sports Radio 610 listening that you can get yourself into. I hardly ever go. Oh, okay. I can scroll on here. All right. I got to get with the kids and do more vertical shit, don't I? Just old man Sethers. All right. If I find out more information, I will talk to you guys about it. But I don't want to say anything prematurely before I know what the hell's going on. Everybody have a good look at my thumbprint. Don't use it.